Hello and welcome. For all intents and purposes, the moment we've been waiting for is pretty much here. It's basically here. Now, never mind what's going to happen in 2025, which is the actual last final solar flash and ascension into 5D. What I'm talking about now is actual planetary liberation. Within the coming months, beginning with the liberation of the freedom key on this planet, known as the United States of America, which is happening at or around the 20th. I'm going to focus on what we need to do as 144K and as star seeds that are still active and haven't been taken out, what we need to do and how we need to handle the next few days. First of all, congratulations for all 144K members who participated in amazing, profound, visceral and just stupendous mass meditations that we did on the 5th and 2 on the 6th of January. It's not easy, but what we're looking at is, I knew that over the coming days, another set of 3 back-to-back mass meditations will be needed, just like what we did on the 5th and 6th. Although this coming 3 144K mass meditations looks like they're going to occur a day apart, separately. So we're not going to be doing 2 mass meditations on the one day. I've been ruminating and tuning into when is the time to do for the 144K to intervene. Again, do the heavy lifting yet again and do our amazing and profound mass meditations that we've gotten pretty good at by now. I knew that the dates would either be the 18th, 19th and 20th, or the 20th, 21st and the 22nd, one of the two. Now, it seems like the White Hats have things relatively under control, all things considered. Of course, it doesn't look that way if you pay any attention to the cabal media, aka mainstream media. They're going to hammer away as hard as they can to make it look as if Joe Biden will get inaugurated. So, and I'll get to that in a minute. Really what's needed is a certain kind of intervention at the most critical moments. Now, Cobra has recently posted that there's going to be a timeline node, okay, that's going to occur from on the 20th, 21st and 22nd. Now, to explain what a timeline node is, just to make sure we're on the same page and everyone understands and has clarity on this, a timeline node is when 2 timelines sort of start to travel close together, and they either merge briefly or they travel very close and very parallel to each other for a little while before they start to divert, or in some cases one disappears altogether. Okay, and when they merge, that point in which they merge, that's where that's the node. Okay, now sometimes when they don't merge and they're really close like this, parallel to each other, a wormhole can form, depending on what people are doing on either of the timelines. Okay, hint, hint. Dark rituals or mass meditations in our case. So sometimes they may not necessarily literally join together, but because they're so close together and they're parallel for a little while, a wormhole can sometimes form or open up, especially if there's conscious energetic intervention, be it mass meditations, energy work, or dark rituals. And so you still get a node, basically. You can still sort of connect them to this. So that's what a node, a timeline node is. And what's coming is both these timelines, they lead to planetary liberation relatively soon. That's not the issue. The issue is, with these two timelines, they both lead straight to planetary liberation. However, one is better than the other, to put it in simple terms. So, a couple of examples of the difference between these two timelines. One timeline, let's say the higher timeline, or the comparatively higher timeline, leads to only 3 days of so-called darkness. The lesser timeline is as much as 10 days or 2 weeks of darkness, which is communications blackout, comparatively more power outages here and there. Another example is on the more positive timeline. All the bad guys will be wrapped up and taken to the FEMA camps or Gitmo, whatever the case is, within a 48-hour period, and things return to normal. And then the mass disclosure occurs and it all goes, relatively speaking, without a hitch. The unconscious portion of the population may still get a shock and freaking out, but they'll gradually start assimilating the information, even though it's going to take weeks. Now, the comparatively negative timeline, the Earth Alliance would need a good 10 days to round up all the bad guys. 3 or 4 days of no, goods and services, empty shelves in the supermarkets and that kind of thing. And when the disclosure starts by the white hats, you would see a lot of suicides, a big surge in actual suicide, and just more volatility. So they both lead to planetary liberation, but as I've pointed out in these two examples, one's still better than the other. So enter the 144K. I'm now calling 3 mass meditations for the 19th of January. That's the US time, the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. Now, the two main reasons why I'm calling it on those dates, even though Cobra has called from the 20th, 21st, and the 22nd to do those Buddha columns, which again is recommended. If you can do that, certainly do it. Is the biggest and most critical deciding points in linear time will begin US time from the 19th. And what needs to happen is, first of all, they'll be ritualizing on that date. There's no two ways about that. So someone has to be there to stop it. The afternoon or midday period of the 19th, so it'll be late afternoon or night in Europe, and the 20th in the rest of the world, that's where critical preemptive action has to be taken that'll largely decide what's going to happen on the 20th, 21st and 22nd. Okay, we've got to preempt things. We've got to move in early. So that's why we're going to start from the 19th. And then the 20th, and then the 21st. And do whatever the extra dimensionals and extraterrestrials and our respective galactic families and our guides will be asking us to do. Okay, we'll be working closely with them. So again, the deciding factor that'll sort of set the direction and the tone for the coming days will be from the 19th. And of course, the 20th and the 21st, that'll be in the middle of it all, okay? Now, by the 22nd, how the 22nd goes will obviously be decided, and where we're all at as a planet and which timeline we go on to will largely be concluded by the 22nd from what occurs on the 19th, 20th and 21st. So that's basically the deal. We've sort of got to move in early, really important. Simon Parkes, he had an update today, and I'll leave the link to Simon Parkes below this video, or somewhere around this video. You know, he was informed by his white hat insiders, that certainly seemed genuine, that things are really going to start happening by tomorrow. So prepare yourself. Do a healing clearing session, do a third eye session, whatever it is that you need to do. Rest, get enough sleep, and start prioritizing everything, especially when it comes to rest and building up your energies. Prioritize everything for the 144K mass meditations beginning on the 19th and continuing on the 20th, and then another one on the 21st. So again, by the 22nd, it will largely be said and done, you know, and concluded. You know, that's where I'm a lot more confident that doing Buddhic columns over North America that Cobra has called for will be enough for the 22nd because of what you and I will be doing on the 19th, 20th and 21st. In terms of intel, Simon Parkes seems to be the only, not just reliable, but consistent in terms of daily updates. And, you know, a big thumbs up to him because he's giving fairly good analysis and perspective on things, which is just as important as just receiving the raw intel. He does a really good job of that. So I'd recommend you sort of, for the most part, you know, just stick with him for now and subscribe to his BitChute channel. I don't think he has a rumble.com channel. He's announced on YouTube that he's having to stop YouTube because he received another strike. So he knows he's, you know, going to get taken off at any moment. And other than preparing yourself, it's really important to be calm, bring yourself more and more into calmness. Because for those of you who follow Wex22 report, he showed us a Q post from 2018 of January the 18th. Again, for those of you who've done your homework with Q, you know that they get the dates, they get the day and month correct in terms of what's going to happen and to get ready for it, but they deliberately quite often sort of reverse or change the year, which year it's going to happen. So there's a post on January 18th, 2018, and it just shows a sign, like a street sign, with a dark, cloudy background, and it simply says, "Storm is coming," if I remember correctly. All right, and that's January the 18th, 2018, meaning it applies to now. It applies to January 18th, 2021. Okay, and this was one of my signs and clues that, okay, we're going to have to get started with our mass meditation on the 19th. Now, there might be an internet blackout, but I don't believe the internet blackout is going to, or the media blackout, I don't believe that's going to occur on the 19th. It may occur between the 20th to the 23rd, thereabouts. We will have to see. It depends on what timeline we can get the planet on. So the more positive timeline will mean maybe a 48-hour blackout. The comparatively negative timeline, even though it still leads straight to planetary liberation, we're talking much longer blackout and much more fear, much more uncertainty, much more volatility on the streets of the US in particular. Okay, so that's why we're going to make sure we get in with at least one live meditation on the 19th, because I don't think it's too likely that the internet blackout and media blackout will occur on the 19th, maybe the 20th or the 21st. So we'll see. Now, if we do our part and we play our cards right, let alone the participation rates being there, it will do a lot to help the white hats either arrest or shoot to kill. A lot of them are mercenaries from ISIL, Al-Qaeda, MS-13, some MK-Ultra victims or super soldiers. A lot of them will be in amongst the Cabal mercenary army. That's literally and literally and intentionally what it is, also known as Antifa and Black Lives Matters. A lot of the domestic, as in American-born Antifa and BLM members, a lot of them have been trained in certain types of operations, siege warfare, how to conduct riots, how to incite riots, how to take over buildings. They're all literally trained to do those specific things by the CIA itself. The CIA works for the Cabal, and for those of you who don't know that, and so the whole thing is just one Cabal operation. And the White Hats, the National Guard, as you know, they're already being deployed in all the major cities to deal with them, to take care of them. Now, if we can get humanity onto the higher timeline of these two timelines that I was talking about, the White Hats are much more likely, to say the least, much more likely to take care of these Cabal or CIA-trained mercenary armies known as Antifa or BLM. They'll be able to take care of them very swiftly within a 24 to 48 hour period. Okay? And then communications will come back on. Now, it's hard to say which dates that action will actually occur. That's a tightly kept or tightly held secret for good reason. So don't, get lost in the details, so to speak. Our job, our department, in terms of what we've been told to take care of, is the timeline, to secure the highest timeline through energy work and clearing Gaia, clearing the collective, clearing all the non-physical aspects so that things on the physical, naturally ascend to the highest possible timeline and things go much more smoothly and quickly with comparatively less incident. Now, it's not to say that the White Hats won't allow that Cabal mercenary army known as BLM and Antifa, that won't allow them to run amok for maybe 2 or 3 days, just like they did back in June over the George Floyd murder. Even though the coroner himself literally said George Floyd died from a drug overdose, and that's the coroner's report. Again, one of the thousands of things that the Cabal mainstream media has suppressed. They may allow them to run amok. No matter how successful you and I may be with our 144K mass meditation, they may allow Antifa and BLM and all the charming characters that are highly trained operatives to run amok for 2 or 3 days or something like that, so that the unconscious portion of the population is shocked and appalled, and again demands something be done about this insurrection. That might still happen, and then the White House are going to start, shall we say, cleaning house, and it may not be just arrest. It may be actual shoot to kill orders that the National Guard and the US military may be given, because it is insurrection. Okay, it is insurrection, somewhat similar to the Civil War in the 1860s. Even though many of them are American-born, they are trying to overthrow the United States. They are trying to prevent the smooth transition from the corporation of, the United States of America Corporation to the United States of America Constitutional Republic. The cabal is trying to prevent that through their use of BLM, Antifa, and whatever other assets they may still have. It's really important to be aware of that. It literally is an attack on the United States to try to take it over. Even if there's well-meaning so-called leftists and black activists within this group, there's plenty that are not well-meaning at all. And it is insurrection. The military, the current administration, the Trump presidency, is completely lawful in using whatever necessary force is needed to shut down the insurrection. Okay, so again, they may be allowed to do some damage for a day or two. Okay, no matter how successful we are with the mass meditations, don't let that fool you or trick you. Enough is enough. I'm sure I speak on behalf of most Starseeds that our patience has ran out. Not that I disagree with the way the White Hats and the US military in particular has played this game. I agree with it. I don't disagree with it. But enough's enough. Enough of countries, like especially the United States, being usurped, being infiltrated and taken over and enslaving its people. We're here to make sure that that's stopped once and for all. Okay, so like what we saw back in June with the George Floyd so-called protests. That was another attempted insurrection, by the way, where they tried to storm the White House on the 6th of the 6th, when the 144K was the only mass meditation group that did a mass meditation for 2 hours and certainly made sure that did not happen and would raise the planet to another higher timeline. So, again, switch to operative mode. All right, start changing your mindset, if you haven't already, from civilian mindset to operative mindset. I've said that 1,000 times on Ground Crew Command Radio, and I'll say it another 1,000 times if I need to. The situation is what it is. You're an operative, you're an agent of light, literally, legitimately. Respect that, honor that, regardless of what the mental conditioning and the false incarnational identity thinks or says or reacts to that. It just is what it is. The more you accept that and honor that and respect that, the more it upscales the frequency of your soul, because you're honoring who you really are, what you're really here for. That makes the soul very happy. It increases in frequency, which obviously is helps a lot with all manner of things, being able to receive more from your higher self. It even helps with DNA activation and raises you to a better timeline just by having that professional operative approach to how you handle this whole thing. Okay, so rest as much as you can. There is a slim possibility we may do a mass meditation before the 19th. That is possible. But as things stand now, mass meditation on the 19th, 20th, and 21st is a definite. And like I said, by the 22nd, Buddhic columns here and there would be enough. But from my personal perspective, Buddha columns being enough on the 22nd will only be really possible and be enough because of what you and I will do on the 19th, 20th and 21st. Now, the specific times for your time zone, and of course the usual link to the live guided broadcast will be emailed you. So as always, watch your inbox really carefully. Rest. If you're already getting, I don't know, kind of overwhelmed, or the energy is getting the better of you and you're not able to maintain emotional stability, either fear or anxiety or tiredness is another symptom, do something like the ICB or the 4 phases at a minimum. And if you're someone that's more or less mastered soul fragment retrieval, as in the real deal here, then going up to your own personal guides that you're familiar with should be enough. You know, show them what you're experiencing and then watch and clear it. Prepare yourself. You know, the moment we've been waiting for as far as events on the physical plane are concerned, it's basically here. So now is not the time for us to drop the ball. We've been waiting since and even way before Atlantis for this very moment, okay? So do whatever it is that you need to do, block off everything off your schedule, whatever. Do 1 or 2 healing sessions today or tomorrow to clear any fear or anxiety or tiredness, whatever the case may be. Show it to the teams or your teams, get rid of it, don't put up with it, don't put up with anything, okay? This is it, okay? We've been stuck on this planet since anywhere from 10,000 to, for some of us, 40,000 years, all right? At the very least, since Atlantis. For me, it's 17,000 years. My partner is 24,000 years. All those tens of thousands of years, and if you include all our off-world adventures and lifetimes that we had dealing with the opposing forces before we arrived at this planet and got stuck on this planet, we're talking millions of years, okay? This is it. This is it. So do whatever it is that you need to do to prepare, all right? Other than that, be calm, you know, because we need to be that pillar of calmness for the rest of the world, for the collective. And it's also an extremely empowering thing to just be calm because, you know, at one level or another, we're the ones that have been organizing to create this moment of liberation. Make no mistake about that. So let's get it done. Let's finish what we came here to do all those tens of thousands of years ago. Again, think at a much higher level, all right? Think at a trans-lifetime level from the perspective of your soul to help you really get it, all right? We have to adjust our thinking. We have to adjust our mindset at the incarnational level. So let's do this. Rest, watch your inbox, heal, do a healing session if you need to. I'll leave a couple of links if you're a new member and you're not familiar with working with robust levels of light that really mean business. And of course, share this video because people who haven't heard of the 144K meditation group yet, you know, I'll leave a link for them to join somewhere around this video. And this is the moment we've been waiting for. This is the unknown light warrior, the loving servant to the goddess, and I'll talk to you real soon.